Oh, good morning. Good morning. Hello. James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. That's Joe Brazil. James, appreciate you and Jesse Tapia and Joe Brazil for holding it down. Yesterday, I was driving back up from Southern California and was not certainly going to didn't even leave in time. I left after this show started.
Oh.
So there's no chance I was getting up here for work.
Did you guys drive or fly?
We drove.
Oh,
we're drivers.
Oh, see, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No,
the back.
No, understandable. Happy Tuesday. We've got Kings to get to. Major League Baseball made its Sacramento debut yesterday. We'll dive into that. A faux deadline has passed for the San Francisco 49ers, and we will discuss that as well. One thing I want to get out of the way up top here. It is April 1. Everyone knows what that means. It's April Fool's Day. Nothing on this program will be an April Fool's joke. There will be no April Fool's jokes on this radio show.
And we're not April Fool's joking, saying that there will be no April Fool's joke.
Correct. Like I know we joke around and stuff, but I'm being very, very serious. Any news that happens today on the show or anything like that is a real thing.
Okay.
That is a company policy. We are not, if we do an April Fool's joke, we will not be on air tomorrow. So,
okay.
No jokes.
No joke.
And please be very careful when you're throwing stuff. If you want to throw stuff in the chat, if you see news or whatever, let's just double, triple, quadruple check.
Yeah.
Same goes for us, guys.
Yeah.
You see something in the chat, we need to really verify it today.
Exactly. Wemby is not getting traded, which I already saw this morning. Obviously, I know it's April, but things like that, let's triple check, guys.
Did you get got by that? Did you like for a second? Like, whoa!
Honestly, I wish I did, but I didn't. Not even for a split second. It was no. And we're not going to. Yeah, no, absolutely not.
All right.
Okay.
Good. That's where we're at today, guys. We'll start with the Kings. Start with the Kings? Yeah, they played first. We'll start with the Kings.
We can do that.
111-109 loss in Indiana. And I don't, I asked this last night. I don't even know what constitutes a bad loss for the Kings anymore. Because that felt like a bad loss, right?
Oh, that was a bad loss.
You're up 16 in the third quarter, and not just ahead by 16, because there's up by 16 because you started out the game on a 25-5 run, and then they've slowly been chipping away. That was a close game, and then the Kings pulled away. They had full control of that basketball game, and they couldn't keep it. And we've seen this now against Milwaukee. We saw it against Chicago, and now we've seen it here against Indiana. Like, that's a trend. This is becoming a problem. But in the grand scheme of this season, it's like, all right, it's just add this to the pile.
It's one of 800 problems from this season.
Right. So I don't even know, like, is it a bad loss or just a lot? Like, yeah, they lost again. I don't know what to call this.
Yeah. So, like, look, when you get this deep into a season, like, it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you have an opportunity to win a game, if you're up 16, you've got to get that win.
Yep.
If you're up 16 in the third quarter, you've got to get that win.
Yep.
It's just where the Kings are in the standings. I mean, it's a difference between maybe being a play-in team and not being a play-in team. It's a difference between maybe hosting a play-in game and not hosting a play-in game. Like, this does actually matter. And, you know, I think the Kings can look ahead and see the two games ahead of them and say, okay, well, you get those back, right? You'll get those games. You're going to beat Washington. You're going to beat Charlotte. But that doesn't excuse the fact that you should have had this game wrapped up and you go away from what works. And there's something about this team that I will never get. And it's very specific to this season. Like, things work and things are fluid and things are going well. And I know oppositions make adjustments.
Sure.
And so there's always going to be a coaching aspect of this. But then the Kings just inexplicably go away from everything that works. And they just regress to the basics of who they are as basketball players. And that is just it's the wrong way to go. They do not ever rely on a system. And until you create a system that you can rely on, which the Kings do not have right now. And hey, I'm not calling out coaching staff or anything else, because at this point, you know, Doug Christie has assistants that he didn't choose that are Mike Brown guys or not Mike Brown guys. But on top of that, he's down 2 assistants and all this stuff. So this aspect of it, I'm not going to say, hey, why doesn't Doug have a system? It's like, well, Doug doesn't have a system because a coach got fired 30 games into the season or 35 games in, and he had to rebuild. And then they trade his best player, and then they bring in all these other pieces, and then they have injuries. So there's a lot there, but there is no system. And moving forward, that is the key to any success this team will have or failures that this team will have. Can you develop a system that you can rely on? You know, we talk about, Taylor Jenkins gets fired. I know exactly. You don't even have, they could wear like hoods with eyes cut out and, like just like masks that you can't see.
Yes.
The players and just nondescript jerseys. I could tell you exactly which team, if you put 5 teams on the court, is a Taylor Jenkins Memphis Grizzlies team, even though he just got fired.
Right.
It's just there's a way that they play. And the Kings don't have a way that they play.
There's no identity on either end of the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And what they do is they end up just becoming like really, really bad versions of individual basketball. Like each of them do it.
Yeah.
And so it's really frustrating because you do, well, I'm not going to say all 5 guys on the court because that's just not who Domas is. He can't be that. And also Keegan Murray, he can't be that because that's
even
not,
if they need him to be.
Yeah, because when they regress to their basics, that's who they are.
Yeah.
Domas is the ultimate team player. Yeah, Domas is the ultimate team player, and Keegan is the guy that can't stand up for himself. And so you have this weird dynamic that plays out, and it's so frustrating to watch. And that, to me, is like, once again, you got one guy taking 10 shots in the fourth quarter, and 4 of them he hits. That means he missed 6 shots that's unacceptable. 7 shots in a previous game in overtime and in the final 4 minutes of a game. Unacceptable. Like, if you don't have it in that moment, stop shooting. Give it to somebody else. Somebody else needs a turn.
Sure.
And don't act like, oh, well, they had 3 assists in the fourth quarter. One of those assists came realistically after the game was the buzzer sounds. As DeMar DeRozan hits Zach LaVine, he hits the 3-point shot. So Zach LaVine gets 3 more points that he realistically didn't deserve. And DeMar DeRozan and the Sacramento Kings get their 3rd assist of the fourth quarter, which they realistically didn't deserve.
They couldn't buy a bucket doing what they usually do when games get tight.
Yeah.
And they finally got a bucket when they ran the offense. DeMar DeRozan had the basketball, got it to Domas, ran off a dribble handoff, got a step, got to the cup. It's like, hey, look at that. Look at how that works.
Beautiful game.
It's that easy. I will say I'm with you with not, because we talked about this when Mike Brown was let go. There's nothing a coach is going to be able to really do within a season to make dramatic wholesale changes to the offense or defense.
Yep.
You're working with the pieces and the structure that you were handed. So we kind of knew that was going to be the case. So I don't, the disorganization on both sides of the floor is up for debate, how much the coaching staff would be able to really, really impact that. What I can't stand that Doug did yesterday and really has done is this adherence to the Monk, LaVine, DeRozan trio to close games.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to happen that way. When Zach LaVine, look, if Zach LaVine is going to take a back seat the way he has in these games and score 3 points in the fourth quarter, which came as the buzzer sounded in a 5-point game, he does not need to be on the court.
Yeah.
I understand how much money he's making. I'm not naive to that. I understand that you can't make this guy upset because he's already mad about being in Sacramento. Tough. Then go get the basketball and score it. Go do the thing that you're the best at. If Malik Monk is struggling the way he did yesterday, I don't need to see Malik Monk on the court. They're not running an offense that he needs to be orchestrating. Why is he on the floor then? If he's struggling, which Zach LaVine a non-factor, Malik struggling, okay, get Keon Ellis on the floor. Do something different.
That's where, like, realistically, I do have problems with the way that Doug Christie is coaching the team right now.
Yes.
Like, when things aren't working, you can't keep going back to them.
Yes.
And
I agree.
you know, again, there's no true system to rely on here. So that's one piece.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're watching the fourth quarter play out and one player keeps doing the same thing and it's not working and you're going to lose the game because of it, like, get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just like call a timeout, take the guy out of the court, off the court, and say, look, you just don't have it right now. I can't do this. I can't do this again to my team because this is a team. It's not the Sacramento DeMar DeRozans. It's just not. And so, like, if you're going to allow that, that's as much on Doug Christie as it is on DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
The fact that, again, Malik Monk is throwing up the most wild, ridiculous layup attempts and fall away 20-footers in the fourth quarter. Get out of the game.
Not the time for that.
You lost your chance. You're done. I'm going to find someone else. And I don't care if you lose the game because of that. I'd much rather lose the game with guys playing the right way than with guys being selfish and doing crazy things that don't make any sense to the actual flow of the offense and the flow of the game. And that's where I do think, like, down the stretch here, we've seen mistakes made in rotations, and it's relying on specific rotations that have long predated him, but it's not breaking the cycle. Like, we've seen every once in a while the Jake LaRavia down the stretch thing, and then people freak out. Why isn't Keon playing down the stretch? It's like, calm down. Like, what was working was working.
Sure.
So it's just,
and that's it. That I think that's an important thing you just said. What was working was working. That's what matters. Find the things that work. Maybe it's Jake LaRavia, who I know didn't play last night, but maybe it's Keon Ellis. Maybe it's Trey Lyles. Maybe it's Markelle Fultz. I don't know. Do something different than closing with this 5 that continues smoking leads.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I get what the argument would be. I understand that, and I'm here for it. It's not my job to care. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care what Zach LaVine's contract looks like. I don't care that Malik Monk is the only point guard on the team. I don't care that DeMar DeRozan's a Hall of Famer. You have to find the group of players that's going to be most effective, because the Pacers left the door open for the Kings to wrestle that game back and put it away. They started 2 for 12 in the fourth from 3. Just from 3. 2 for 12. Yeah. Just chucking up bad shots early in the shot clock, not the looks they're looking for, and just throwing these shots at the rim. And the Kings are getting these rebounds, they're going down, and they just had no answers.
Should have been 20-point lead. Should have been 20-something point lead.
They should have pulled away in that game. There were so many times I'm watching that game inside like the 6-minute mark. Or not the Blazers. The Pacers miss a shot, and I'm going, all right, bucket here is that makes the hill really, really steep.
Yeah.
And they never had the answer. And like I said, I finding frustration is difficult, because it's like, here it is again. Like, fool me once, shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Yeah. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah. That's
yeah.
The other thing, just real quick, I won't. I'm sure somebody could explain this to me, and it would make sense. But right now, it doesn't. You have Domantas Sabonis, who through 3 quarters is 10 of 17 with 23 points, and then he takes 2 shots in the fourth.
Yeah.
And it's not for a lack of aggressiveness, because he just wasn't touching the ball. I would be the first person. If Domantas Sabonis had opportunities to take shots last night and didn't, I'd be the first one in here going like, dude, you need to put the ball on the rim. What are we doing here? But he just doesn't they just completely go away from it down the stretch. And I know he's not a go-to guy typically, but the Blazers had nothing. Jeez, the Pacers had nothing for him. That's something I don't understand.
No, I don't get that either. And like, look, you can still have some of these players on the court, right? You don't just have to like make wholesale changes and everybody's out and Doug McDermott and Jay Crowder, you're in.
Right.
No, but what you do have to do is you have to coach them and you have to tell them to stop.
Yes.
What you just did there was irresponsible, and I can't have that happen again.
Yeah.
You just cost us a possession in a 3-possession game or a 2-possession game that we can't afford those mistakes anymore.
Yeah.
If you're the coach, that's what you have to do.
Yes.
And I don't think that Mike Brown had a grasp on it. And I certainly don't think that at this point, Doug is holding on for dear life, trying to like careen this thing just a little bit towards the end that ends up in a play-in series, a play-in game. That's what he's just trying to twist and turn a little bit just to get him in that one little lane that they can stay in. But man, it's tough to watch.
But you cannot preach urgency the way Doug does and playing hard and playing the right way and then allow to go on the court what goes on.
Yeah.
Those two things don't line up. At some point there has to be action or your words are going to fall on deaf ears.
I agree completely.
All right. We'll keep diving into the Kings. We've got sights and sounds from the A's home opener. Game didn't go great, but Major League Baseball is here in Sacramento. We'll talk about that. And the 49ers had a deadline pass. I don't think we're going to see any big trades from them this offseason. We'll tell you why next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil is here. We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Leader. Yeah, this is the other thing.
Yeah, but in order to get assists, a lot of you do have to actually hit the shots. So. Wait.
Hey, let's go.
So I did actually get got a little bit this morning.
Oh, nice.
I'm sending over into the chat right now. So it was something so simple that I didn't even stop to really think of it for a second. So 2K did fake ratings updates and they just made random names for random players. So I'm scrolling through and I say, there's one of the Kings players got a ratings update. And it's a one Sagittarius Jefferson.
Great.
And so for about 2 seconds there, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe we need all the help we can get. Maybe someone's been hiding. It got me for about 5 seconds. I'm not gonna lie. And then I'm like, that is
G-leaguer.
That is Sagittarius Jefferson.
I love the idea of just like super inconsequential April Fool's jokes.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's funny.
I had a Nutri-Grain bar for breakfast, guys. No, I didn't. Idiots, April Fools.
Yeah, so that's kind of like I'm just thinking like, oh, cool, I'm gonna get to play with a new player, like whatever. Someone's hiding. We might need some help. It's Sagittarius Jefferson. So shout out him. I might need to get a jersey. That last name is legendary.
A full apathy. That's the title of my memoir. Drew down. Casey and I had a good chat last night.
Oh.
That is a really funny joke, Tyler.
Man,
that is a really good
tough. Hey, salute to you, though. Here's the thing. I don't have a child, so I don't know anything about parenting. But cutting the joke off when child starts crying is going to be, if I'm lucky enough to have a child someday, that's going to be my rule.
Yeah.
The people who film their children like freaking out and crying and like, this is so funny. I don't think that's funny.
That's not funny. No.
That's not funny to me.
Or they like break the Xbox and like it's a joke, but the Xbox is still broken.
Right. Like, got him.
They're like, ha, you look so dumb right now. It's your parent.
We're going to talk about this today, Boombox Mini. Thanks for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But that's tough.
So mean.
That's tough. Yeah.
Okay. Three things here, Bryce. One, go with the orange and white cat if you can.
Tabby.
Orange cats are the best. Two, if you meant Siamese,
not a sesame.
Cool.
I love that name for a cat.
If it's a sesame, what is a sesame cat?
Here's with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Not to brag, but I was in Disneyland this weekend.
Yeah, we know, Kyle.
Okay, so two things. It was pretty crowded. My wife and I have been very, very fortunate to go to Disneyland enough times that there's not a lot of urgency to get every single thing done.
Mm-hmm.
I learned two things about myself. One, I'm dealing with this sinus thing, and I can't smell because my nose has been plugged.
Oh.
And I learned that smell is like the most important sense to me, because that's what I know Disneyland based on like how like smells, churro smells, buttered popcorn, different rides, different stores, like different areas of the park, like smell a certain way. Not being able to take that in was jarring. Really, really weird for me.
Yeah, olfactory senses are like the sense of smell, like how it recalls certain memories.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this. Like my grandfather passed away when I was 5, and we were close. They lived down the street from us, but he smelled of black coffee and tobacco, like he chewed. So anytime I smelled chew, it instantly triggers a picture in my head of my grandfather.
Jiffy Lube is what I'm calling it.
That's right.
Yeah, man, it's stuff like that. And I'd always said if I had to lose a sense, I think I could deal with that smell. I cannot.
Yeah.
I can't. It's not a good time for me.
It's probably allergies, man. Like we've been hit by the allergies here.
Yeah, dude. I just can't. It's gotten a little bit better, but I can just feel it. It's just up here.
Welcome to my life, man. I got the apparatus for you.
Oh yeah,
the breathing apparatus with the nose. Yeah.
I also found that the medical box here has Claritin, so you don't have to pay $1 a pill. You can just go get it every day out of the medical.
I get that box
good to know.
once a day, dude. The box is stacked.
It is stacked.
That's great.
Yeah.
I already bought some.
It's got good stuff in there.
Once I'm out. The second thing I learned about myself at Disneyland this weekend was I am officially old. Like I kind of knew, just based on my like celebrity all-star games. There's like an inverse relationship between like how old you are and how many celebrities you know, and it just does this as you get older.
Yes.
So I already kind of had an idea, but the amount of innocuous things teenagers did at Disneyland that just annoyed the hell out of me really worried me about me as a person. I'm just like, are those teenagers walking over here? Oh,
this is the moment Kyle goes,
I'm just, bro.
I think we're not going to have kids.
I'm just the worst. I'm the worst kind of person now. I need to adjust my brain space. I think you're right on the cuttoff, brother.
I was literally, it's funny you say that.
If I saw you at Disneyland, I don't think I would like you.
I don't think you would. I was literally thinking the exact same thing. That is so funny you say that. I was thinking, I don't know, man. I'm pretty close.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on the
close. I'm sure there's moments. I have both moments of each. So
I try to stay grounded though, and like, look, I was that teenager once. I was that teenager messing around in line instead of actually moving. You know, I was that person running into somebody because I was messing around with my friend. Like I've been there. I'm trying to not, but man, oof. I've never felt more like old ass man than I did at Disneyland.
So I've always like when you have kids, it becomes a little different because you don't want to be that person when it's your kids being the a-holes.
Yeah.
So like you sit there and talk to your kids about, hey, like, look, when we go out to dinner, you're sitting in your seat the entire time.
Sure. Right.
You're not getting up and running around the table. You're not getting up and doing silly things. There are people working here and you're in their way. There are other people here enjoying their dinner and they don't want someone else's kids in their space as well.
Sure.
So like you try to keep your kids, but then you don't know what they do when you're not around. You hope that you've put the lessons in well and that they will follow the rules and not get on Kyle's nerves.
But that's the thing. Is most of them were. Most of them were just fine.
Yeah.
I was just annoyed by their presence. I guess because I'm jealous I'm not a young person anymore.
That's funny.
I think that's it. It's a me problem for sure. That's the goal here. This is a Kyle problem.
I will absolutely act very accordingly next time I'm out, and I will think of you. And
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem.
I want you to think of me all the time.
Okay.
That's not weird.
No. Yeah.
That was weird. I'm sorry. I
It
said
was
that.
weird,
That's
actually.
Weird.
Yeah, no, that
that's
was
my
weird.
bad.
I could tell you knew what you were about to say was weird too before you said it. It's okay.
I
We'll
tried
move
to.
on.
No, it's all right.
It's okay.
Hey, we're never going to talk about this ever again. Sights and sounds from the A's home opener. The A's opened up Major League Baseball at Sutter Health Park, kind of. There was a game last night.
There was.
We'll get to the
game itself, I think, was totally secondary to everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I thought like what we saw in the stadium, like there were some major issues, but like for me to complain about like media issues is more of like, first world problems.
That's inside baseball.
Yeah, it is inside. So it would have been nice if there would have been somewhere for us to like sit somewhere in the park and not just stand in like cold weather. But outside of that, I thought like the first of all, the park looked amazing.
It did.
Every time I took a picture, the picture looked way more beautiful than
Yeah.
what I was actually seeing.
Mhm.
And then I thought the David Garibaldi painting of Ricky Henderson was absolutely incredible to open the
Yeah, it
festivities.
was cool.
It wasn't a sea of blue like I thought it would be. Like, there were a lot of Cubs fans,
Mhm.
but I also
It didn't sound like it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe
It's not on TV.
Well, I would also say this: if you're watching on TV, I think Sutter Health Park is going to have a much different sound than most baseball parks because it's not a double-decker park that traps sound in.
Mhm.
So the sound just dissipates. It's not going to be really loud one way or another, I don't think. But like the grassy hill, they said they sold 250 seats. It looked more like 500
Mhm.
at least. I mean,
There's a lot of people up there.
there were just a ton of people up there. They also said it was like 12,000 people in attendance. I didn't buy that at all. That looked like at least 14,000. It was a packed house. There were a couple
Why
open.
would they short the number?
I don't know why they would possibly short the number, but like you could see all of the suites were packed with people. There were so many people just like up against the like walking on the mezzanine or the standard area, like looking out. I thought it was like a packed house. Again, there was a couple of sections where there might be a row or two of seats, but those look like group ticket sales, and maybe somebody didn't show up for those. But overall, it looked like fully packed. I thought they put on a really good show. The baseball was bad. Again, the A's gave up
four runs in the first.
4 runs in the first, and then the next batter up, I think in the fifth, hit a home run to make it a 5-1 game or a 5-0 game.
I thought Joey Estes, the A's starter, gives up the 4 in the first inning, and it looked like he might be able to make it through 5. I was like, man, if you can get Joey Estes through 5 here, that's a big deal. And then the wheels just came off because I think it was 5. They cut it to 5-3.
Yeah. It's 5-3.
It's like, okay, they're hanging it, and then
7-3, 9-3, and then
man.
Yeah.
18-3 was the final score. More history. We had the first Cubs cycle. Carson Kelly hits for the cycle for Chicago. It's the first Cubs cycle since 1993.
Oh, and that was Mark Grace, right?
Sure.
I think it was Mark Grace that had hit for the cycle in 1993.
I did not get that info, but I'm gonna believe you. 18 is also the most runs allowed in an MLB home opener since 1925.
Oh, wow.
That was wild to me. Josh Dubauer from the AP tweeted that out.
Okay.
I was shocked to find that out. I would have thought, in 100 years, not one team.
18 is a lot.
18 is
that is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's so many runs. That's 2 runs an inning.
May 9th, 1993, Mark Grace.
Nice, dude. Good pull. Fewer sounded like fewer Cubs fans than I thought. But overall, it wasn't from like I said, from a visual standpoint. You knew it was going to look great. The setting for Sutter Health Park is awesome. You got the Tower Bridge in the background with downtown Sacramento.
Yeah. The ziggurat right over like center field. The people like it looks like a pyramid, but it's actually not a pyramid. It's a ziggurat. but that's okay.
The
It's called a ziggurat.
We're gonna learn today.
It's not
is that a pyramid with steps?
It's a version of a pyramid, but it's not a pyramid. So it doesn't have it doesn't come to a point. I know this because my dad helped build the ziggurat.
Got it.
It
Okay.
was the money store when it first opened.
Okay.
But no.
Can you spell ziggurat?
Z-I-G ziggurat. I don't know.
Ziggurat.
There you go.
Which is not how I spelled it. When I searched it.
Yeah.
What is a ziggurat? Huh. Okay. I see.
And then the other building that's out in left center is, I think it's the department,
clubhouse.
the Department of Education.
Beyond. I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it,
It's
got it.
absolutely gorgeous though, especially as the sun's going down. It has reflections of the city and stuff on it.
That's sick.
Yeah, so I thought that the whole entire thing, they late in the game they shine green onto the tower bridge, so the tower bridge turned green on one side.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I thought overall the experience, and look, I think what everyone was hoping was that the Kings would win and you'd see the beam go right up in the middle of center field. It would have been up in the air right there, but that didn't happen, of course.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
They're in Washington.
Well, maybe no, that's true. But then it's a day game, so it won't have the same effect.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, Wednesday day game.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? No, overall, I thought outside of the drone stoppage, and
Lazy.
then some just classic Wheezy or Lazy.
Lazy.
That was the A's, right?
Yes.
It was their own drone.
Their own drone.
Oh.
Yeah. And there were some technical hiccups, I guess, on the radio side. But that's to kind of be expected. They weren't going to have a flawless first game from the just all the technical aspects that go into producing a Major League Baseball game. But from an on-field visual standpoint, I thought it looked great.
Yeah, and someone asked, did anyone throw the first pitch? I believe it was Ricky Henderson's wife and daughters, I believe, that threw out the first pitch. I mean, it was chaotic and loud, and I don't know who it was that caught the first pitch. There were three: Lawrence Butler, and then someone was in the middle, and I don't know who that was, and then someone on the outside. The guy in the middle was wearing a green velour suit.
Sick.
Like a jumpsuit, and the pitch came in high and he jumped up and caught it, but then fell backwards and
oh no,
got
his suit dirty.
It was like a moment. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
But no, shout out to the River Cats grounds crew because the field looked immaculate.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
but what's it going to look
job.
like 155 games in because of two teams playing on it?
That's a future problem.
Yeah. No, that's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, man. Sounds like everything for the most part was a good debut, save for the on-field score.
I think so too. That, and it was cold, but look, I think the people that were there had a great time. Everyone was like, "Hey, this is really
people
fun."
looked into it for sure.
Yeah, and I think the players on the field, when you hear about it, oh, this is going to be such a small park and everything. First of all, the visiting teams are like, "Oh, that was fun. Let's do that again. I want to hit. I wanted to score 18 runs." And the wind was blowing out, which isn't usually the case there. I knew when I was because I parked downtown, I walked across the bridge, and it was so crazy windy. And I was like,
Really?
oh, well, this is wild.
Yeah.
So when we got in the park, they were hitting routine fly balls in batting practice that were just flying right out of the park. It was like, oh, this is going to be wild.
Yeah.
And then the big in center field, they have that big building that they've assembled. It's covered in metal siding. And it's painted green, and it's where they have the camera way up high.
Yeah.
I think that's the center field camera. They needed it up that high. Anyway, when that thing gets hit, it boom, it's super loud. It's oh my gosh, it sounds like you're hitting a tin building.
Hilarious.
So that I think all of that was fun. And then I just think overall the atmosphere, everyone was really excited. But I think the players on the field walked away thinking, oh, that was different than I thought. It was a ruckus crowd. It was everyone they're so close to you.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And so if you're going to get that on, like 80%, 90% of the ball games this year, where most of them are going to be sellouts. I think it's going to be a really, really good experience for people.
Yeah. And most of the time the A's won't be behind 4-0 in the first inning and down 18-3 late.
Yeah.
Which will help the atmosphere, I'm sure.
Yeah. And no, the A's didn't have the same success that the Cubs had. Like, it's not like the ball flew out for everybody because they weren't getting the bat on the ball.
Jacob Wilson sure did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was a line shot.
Rookie hit his first career homer.
That's his first career. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
there were two that were hit right in that same area. Like, he hit that, and then I think the next inning, the next guy hit the same shot.
Yeah.
And it was just a line drive to left field, just,
Yeah, those were smoked.
Yep.
The putting a pin in the A's stuff briefly. The 49ers had a deadline that passed today. Brandon Ayuk's $22.855 million option bonus, which you guys mentioned yesterday, that officially hit, which means all this 49ers, Brandon Ayuk trade stuff, which I never thought was realistic anyways. Like, he has a torn ACL.
Yeah.
What team is going to give up anything of value for him? It would cost the 49ers an additional. So he's already due a little over $10 million against the cap this year. It would cost them an additional $30.5 million to trade him now.
Oh, yeah, that's not
so
happening.
He would come with a dead cap hit of $41.2 million, which is not a thing I think is going to happen.
No, that's not happening. No.
So that deadline is here. Again, not that I thought anything was going to happen on that front anyways, but that's where things stand.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the way it should go. I mean, you invested a bunch of money. He got hurt. I know the 49ers are making a lot of changes, but at the end of the day, you still need talent, and he'll be back. Well, we're thinking mid-season.
Yeah, that's the reporting from Adam Schefter, is that they're looking at mid-season.
Yeah.
Back to the A's real quick. They get a chance tonight to bounce back, and this is where having a guy like Luis Severino at the top of your rotation is a big deal, because you just given up 18 runs. You're playing at home. You need to get a good start tonight. You need a pitcher who's going to give you 6 minimum.
Actually, I think that might have been one of the fatal flaws to last night, is that they ran a very young pitcher out there for a high emotion game. And he looked like, from the opening pitch, like he was out of control.
Yeah. Joey Estes did not have his best stuff last night. And then the A's bullpen, which you talked about before, struggled as well. 5 innings, 12 hits, 12 runs, 6 walks.
Yeah, not great.
That's an already taxed bullpen. You're hoping to get a strong start out of Luis Severino tonight. He takes on Carson Steele of the Chicago Cubs, the 2-3 A's taking on the 3-4 Cubs at Sutter Health Park. Looking forward to that one, and hopefully looking forward to an A's victory. All right, we got to step aside for a moment. We'll get back into the Kings. I want to get into the West playoff race outside of the Kings, because we've got some interesting stuff happening in the NBA tonight, and we'll dig into that next. He's James Ham, Kyle Madsen. That's Joe Brazil. We're the Insiders, and Jiffy Lube sponsors this program on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. So tired of Kyle Tucker, man.
Yeah, who got hit hard last night? Oh, Noah Murdoch got hit hard. And Mitch Spence. Oh, and McFarland gave up a run. Yeah, what a mess. They also had sent down Hogan Harris earlier in the day to make room. They had a new pitcher coming in that they just claimed off waivers, and I can't remember who it is. Anyway, he could have come in handy, because you instantly realize that you didn't have your sort of long relief man. And that's where it spun out pretty quickly. Angel Perdomo is who they just brought in.
Yeah, I know my dad's listening. He just convinced me that my car got stolen. I don't know how I believed him. It's April Fool's.
Like before
Joe!
or today?
Well, I know, dude.
Today he convinced you of that?
Just now, because I drive multiple vehicles. We have a Fusion and a Mazda. I have my first car still. I'm about to sell it.
Okay.
And he goes, "Did you drive it today?" I'm like, "No." Well, where is it? Like, dude, go look outside. I don't know. He's like, "It's not outside." I'm like, "Well, is Jake home? Is my brother home?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I think my car got stolen."
Joe, we've talked about this.
I can't believe I just fell for that.
Joe, we talked about this.
Damn it, Joe.
To be fair, I said this is a bad April Fool's joke before he said April Fool's, but I did just think in my head, wow, my car got stolen. So
You need to commit.
The funny thing is I was literally about to say this earlier, that he's known for doing like really lame April Fool's jokes, like just stuff that you wouldn't like. He'd call me and be like, "I'm stuck on the side of the highway," you know? And I'm like, "Great, I got to come get you."
You're like halfway
April
there.
Fools. You know, it's
Got
like,
him.
dude.
Got him. It's not like the one-arm guy in what is that? Arrested Development. And that's why you don't mess with your dad.
That's got to be the last. That's it. I'm done. I'm not believing a single thing I read today. No, I'm not believing anything anyone tells me for the rest of the day.
Smart.
Yep.
Hey, the National League West is insane right now. The NL West contains the 6-0 Dodgers, the 5-0 Padres, and the 3-1 Giants. Giants 3-1 and 2 games back in their own division.
Yeah, we're not, I don't know, man. There's worse teams in better spots around the league. There's no doubt about that. So it's going to be rough this year for the Giants.
The Yankees and Dodgers have scored the same amount of runs, and the Dodgers have played 3 more games. That's outrageous. Every team in the AL West has a negative run differential right now. I love small sample size theater. This is the best. The 3-1 Los Angeles Halos. Chris, our guy in Oxnard. Look at his Angels go. It's pretty incredible.
I got a guy. Shout out Raymel Tapia. There you go. It's another guy.
I've been to Angel Stadium a couple times. I've not done like an official tour, but I've been around the ballpark. That's facts. It is a good fun day today. That's funny.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
He's James. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. Appreciate everybody listening on ESPN 1320 AM. Everybody listening on the free Odyssey app. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, hello. We appreciate you if you were watching there, and everybody in the chatty house, of course. YouTube.com/ESPN 1320, Twitch.tv/ESPN 1320. Last bit of housekeeping before we give away free stuff. Download and subscribe to the James Ham and Kyle Madsen show. That is this show's podcast. We upload each hour. We upload the full show. So if you miss anything, you want to revisit anything, you can still listen to the full program there. We would appreciate that immensely. We're going to give away some stuff before we get into the the Western Conference playoff race in the NBA because it's interesting. Our friends at Jiffy Lube are giving. Are you wearing the hoodie? No, you're not.
I'm wearing
they're-
a hoodie.
You're wearing last year's version. You're
Yep.
wearing the stepped on version of this giveaway. So we have new Insiders hoodies that you can only get through this giveaway. You can also win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate, and it's super easy. You go to ESPN1320.com. You see the Jiffy Lube sponsored contest page. It's right there. You click on that, and you're going to enter the keyword collapse. COLLAPSE, collapse. Because that's what the Kings did against the Pacers last night. They collapsed.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah. You don't have enough games left in the season to let another one like this slip through your fingers. And it's just too many, man.
It is. It's like I said, I don't even know what constitutes a bad loss anymore, but because they all feel bad at this point. But you're now still the 10 seed. You're a half game back of the Mavs. The Suns are a game behind the Kings in the number 11 seed. And if the Suns can right the ship here, you are perilously close to falling out of the play-in entirely.
Yeah. And the worst part is you didn't intend for this to be the case. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's one thing if you're like, hey, we really don't want to be in this play-in.
Correct.
But that's where they kind of are. And to be honest with you, you don't know how to like quantify what's a bad loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year we had like so many, like, just circle them bad losses. You know, they had lost to Detroit, they lost to Washington, they lost to, I think, Charlotte, and they lost to the Blazers, right? We could circle like 4 games. If you won those 4 games, you had 50 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also the other 5 games where you missed free throws in the final like 2 minutes of a game and cost yourself. Like, there were so many like instances where we could like literally just tell you that's a bad loss.
Mm-hmm.
This season, you know, is it a bad loss to lose to Indiana on paper? No, it's not a bad loss.
Not at all.
It's a good
Indiana's
team.
a good team.
It's a good team, but you had a good team on the ropes. You had a good team in the Bucks on the ropes. You were up 19. You know, you had not a good team in the Chicago Bulls, but still a play-in team in the Eastern Conference, like dead to rights.
Yes.
And you let them off the hook.
Yep.
And now that feels like more of who this team is. It's the near misses, because I still don't think they lose to bad teams. When they play bad teams this season, they just thump them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I expect them to win against the Wizards and the Hornets over the next 2 games.
I do too.
If they didn't win those games, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, you know, everything's okay. This is a 500 team or even a sub 500 team. They're 3 games under 500
They have to go
right
5-2
now to finish 500. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be really tough.
Yeah. I mean, you have the 2 here, and you have the 1 at the end of the season against the Suns, which could be completely meaningless.
Yeah.
And the game before that against the Clippers, it could be meaningless for the Clippers as well. But there's just, you know,
I don't think it's going to be meaningless for the Clippers, and that's what I want to talk about is this playoff race in the West.
Okay.
But real quick, you mentioned the 4 games last year that would have gotten the Kings to 50 wins.
Mm-hmm.
If the Kings had 4 extra wins this year, they'd be the 9 seed, 3 games back to the 8. Like, it's just not the calculus this year is just so different. Like, everything about this year is so dramatically different from last year and certainly from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It is crazy how fast this spiraled out of control. But I don't think that game's going to be meaningless for the Clippers, because right now we've been so focused on the 9, 10, 11. The 5 through 8 seeds are separated by 1 game in the West.
Oh, wow.
So you could either be the 5 seed in the 4-5 playoff matchup, or going on the road in the first play-in game based on 1 game. The Grizzlies are 44-31. They're a half game up on Golden State, who's the 6th seed. Minnesota is a half game behind the Golden State in the 7, and the Clippers are tied with Minnesota in the 8. Here's what makes it better. Golden State's a half game back of Memphis. Golden State and Memphis play tonight. So the number 5 seed in the West is on the line tonight when the Warriors visit the Memphis Grizzlies.
Man, talk about just a team in turmoil with the Grizzlies.
The Taylor Jenkins firing looks tough.
Well, I mean, it was tough. I don't know, like, what did you exactly think was going to happen there? There's no way for them to fall out of the play-in, so you're just giving up. Well, maybe they're able to turn things around, but Like, it's just such a strange move.
I wonder a little bit if they're running into kind of the same question, not the same question, the same problem that we've seen with the Kings, where, hey, maybe there's just no amount of coaching that's going to make this particular roster be as good as you want it to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit what I don't think this Kings roster is a 36-39 roster, to be clear. But I don't think there's a version of this Kings roster where we're like, wow, this is a 55-win team. Watch out. You know?
Yeah, I'm with you completely. Like, we sort of misjudged who this team was going to be this season. And a lot of it is because they allowed the chaos to come in the door.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I'm not saying we deserve a break for that. I'm just saying, like, a lot of what's happened here is very specific. It's like chaos snuck in the door. And once that happens, like, all bets are off.
When you're seeing it with the Grizzlies, they fired Taylor Jenkins because Taylor Jenkins couldn't beat a good team. So they get rid of him. And they proceed to lose to the Lakers and the Celtics. And now they have Golden State tonight. So their losing streak is now at 3. They've lost 6 of their last 7, 7 of their last 9. And they're 5.5-point dogs against Golden State at home tonight before going on the road to Miami, Detroit, and Charlotte. So anyways, Golden State and Miami have 5th place on the line. But at the same time, because remember, everything is so condensed, 5 through 8 are separated by a game in the West. The Timberwolves, who are currently the 7th seed, they play the Nuggets in Denver. If Minnesota beats Denver and Golden State loses to Memphis, Golden State, instead of being the 5 seed, now drops to 7. Crazy. I'm very, very excited for the NBA tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the league is, that's why the play-in matters. And I know it's kind of like, hey, you know,
God, can you imagine where we'd be with the Kings if they didn't have play-in?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I think everyone thinks, oh, the play-in's trash. You know, oh, if you're a play-in team, whatever. But then when you're looking at it this way, like, there's all of these teams at the 5, 6, 7 that are trying to avoid the 7 and trying to. It just makes for more compelling basketball down the stretch. So I'm here for it. I like what's happening.
Yeah. Without the play-in, the West would be the top 8 are set. It's just what order they finish in.
Yeah,
and that's less fun to me. The other game that matters tonight in the West, the Suns are at the Bucks. And again, this goes to what we're talking about with the Kings. If the Suns get right and they beat the Bucks, they are now a half game back of the Kings for the 10 seed.
That's going to be tough, though. I mean, they're playing without KD. Yeah, KD's out this entire. We've been saying they're cooked for a while, but then, you know, I don't know how you look at what the Kings are doing and think that they're not cooked as well.
That's a fair point. Yeah, the Suns got right. They beat Toronto and Chicago, then they beat Cleveland, then they beat Milwaukee, but then they get smoked by the Celtics, they get smoked by the Timberwolves, they get smoked by the Rockets. 132-102, 124-109, 148-109.
148-109 in regulation to the Rockets. And then they're at the Bucks, at the Celtics, at the Knicks. They come home to play the Warriors and Thunder and Spurs and then finish with the Kings.
Warriors and Thunder. They get the Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back.
And there's one game out of all of these that you circle and go, okay, that's their winnable game. That's the Spurs. The next winnable game is the Kings, who will be fighting it out with them for a final play-in spot.
Goodness
most likely.
Gracious, man.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know. Like I said, this is not like, oh, I think the Kings are going to be awesome and they're going to figure it out. Because I don't. That stretch of games though that you just mentioned for the Suns, I just don't. With how they're playing right now, with no Kevin Durant, I don't know how they beat the Bucks. I don't think they're beating the Celtics or the Knicks. And if they're dropping those 3 and they get to 6 losses in a row, if the Kings win their next 2 and the Suns lose those 3, like, it's just kind of a wrap.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think. We'll see. Interesting times in the West.
Yeah, it's really tough to just kind of figure out who the Kings are. And I mean, at this point, I think we know who they are. They're just a mid team.
Yeah.
They're just holding on.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the guys probably looking at the offseason. A couple of the guys still like pulling and trying to get into the play-in so they can get into the playoffs. But a few others just kind of like, okay, we know who we are. Like, we're good.
I kind of wonder what the organization wants. In fact, you know what? We'll save this. We got to step aside briefly, but I wonder what the organization wants. I want to lay out the scenarios where the Kings keep their pick and a scenario where they lose their pick. Like, what does that look like down the stretch? And what do we think the organization wants? We'll do that next to start the second hour. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil on the ones and twos. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We'll be back here in a second on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. Yeah, we went early. That's fine. My bad. I was off by 8 seconds, you know?
Did you send in for Wednesday?
No, I'll do that right now.
Okay.
If I can, for some reason, I think I might have messed up. And I think you have to apply for a whole series at once, but I'm not totally sure.
Oh, okay.
Stand by.
I mean, it's just a bummer that, like, until they figure it out, and I don't think they're going to figure out a way to expand. Russ Dog, I don't know if Domas is going to get an All NBA.
So April 2nd, right? Tomorrow?
Yep.
I bet he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be really close. And there are so many players that aren't going to be All NBA. And, like, I don't think Domas should get in by default. I think he's a good enough player that he should get in. But he's also, what does he need? 4 more games played to get to the mark. I mean, he's shooting 58.7% from the field, 40.6 from 3, 14 rebounds per game, 6 assists. Yeah, I mean, I think he's close.
All right. Applied. Hey, did you get an email from the A's, or did you just get the one I forwarded you?
I feel like I got one from the A's.
Saying your credential was approved?
I'm pretty sure I got one.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And that wasn't just the one that Kyle sent us?
I got like the same thing you forwarded to me right before you forwarded it to me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to forward you guys those then. See, Coastal Carolina football is doing free concessions all year.
All year?
Yeah.
How does that work out?
I don't know.
But not free booze.
I don't know. And here's the contention. As a new no limits on how many times ticket purchasing patrons can down hot dogs, popcorn, or nachos as long as they scan a new. Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's riding along with us on the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're hanging out with you till noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. D'Lo and KC will take you up to 4 o'clock. And at 4 o'clock, we have what we got? NIT basketball semifinals. Feel the excitement.
Yeah.
Love the NIT.
Pumped. Let's go.
Dude. Come on. How's your NIT bracket looking?
Oh, it's not good. I've had a couple of brackets that are horrible.
Yeah, that's just kind of my life.
I have way too many brackets.
My mother-in-law is currently first in the J-Ross pool and has one scenario where she can win the whole shebang.
Heck yeah.
So that's what I'm rooting for.
In the D'Lo and Casey bracket, I'm in 4th, which is good.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and I still have I have Florida versus Duke in the finals, and Duke
Great.
as my winner. And I actually have my entire Final Four.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Really well done. This is the year. So usually, when in doubt, I just go Chalky McChalkerson.
Uh-huh.
And this year, I went, nope, I'm picking some upsets. I'm picking some wild. I think I had Gonzaga going to the Final Four.
Okay.
Like, I'm just picking some wild. And naturally, this is a year where it goes Chalky McChalkerson. Tough. Brackets are stupid.
Shout out Danielle. She's winning.
Just cooking.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Danielle. I hope she wins. All right. I want to get back to the Kings.
Okay.
We were talking about kind of how this season's playing out. And just how disappointing it is. Like that's just there's no other word for it for me. It's disappointing. There's no realistic outcome on the table that this year's like, hey, nice, yeah, cool. It's just been a tumultuous year on and off the court. They're 3 games under 500. They're gonna have to scratch and claw if they want to finish 500. They might have to scratch and claw just to get in the play-in. It's just it's ugly. So naturally, the conversation has become, okay, well, is it making the play-in, or should they be trying to keep their pick? My question, because it feels a little convoluted to me. So my question for you, James, is if the Kings make the play-in tournament, just make the tournament. They're the 9 or 10 seed. Is their pick gone?
No, if they make the play-in, their pick technically is in limbo, but yeah, it's going to be, they'll be the 13th or the 14th. I think they'll be the 14th pick in the lottery, but you have to remember that the lottery has to happen. Right. So if you're, so it's going to have like a little asterisk pick, like if it's top 12 protected, if it's 13 or 14, then you do the lottery. And if somehow you move up into the top 4, which the percentage of moving into the top 4 from the 14th pick, it might be a combined like 2.4% or something.
Sure.
That you can move up into the top 4. If not, it does go straight to the Hawks.
Okay. And if you miss the play-in?
If you miss the play-in, you're going to be the 12th pick in the draft. You're going to be the 12th pick going into the lottery, but the reverse can happen. So you go in with the 12th pick, but then there's a possibility of, although it's totally remote, that the 13th or 14th pick move above you into the top 4 and push you back 1 spot, and then you'd have to give up your pick again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's not really a way they guarantee to keep or give up their pick.
No. I mean, again, as of right now, just so people know, today, as we sit, the Kings are, I believe, the 13th pick.
Okay.
Oh, no. That was when they were out. I'll have it in 2 seconds. The Kings are, no. They're the 13th spot.
Okay.
Right? Because they're the 10th. They would need the Suns to overtake them and drop them to the 12th. There's no way, I don't think, there's no way for the Heat to pass the Kings and wins, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The Heat have been pretty bad.
Yeah, the Heat have been, well.
Miami is 34 and 31. Oh, they could pass the Kings.
Okay. So there's like where's the Heat? 34 and 31. So 7.
34 and 41, sorry.
41. There we go. Yeah. So it's the chance of the Heat actually moving up and passing the Kings is pretty slim.
So let me put it this way. Your success in the play-in tournament does or does not impact your draft position?
No, it does not. The roster, I mean, the standings are frozen at the play-in tournament. So it doesn't even matter. If you get into the playoffs, I believe you still get the pick that you would have got before. No, that's not the case, because you're going to be one of the top 8 seeds and you won't be. So that's the only way that it's affected.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this idea that the Kings should be tanking
to go get the 12th.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, yeah, you would get to keep your pick for sure. But I would just tell people, like, if you think that you're going to tank and that's going to be a good thing, there's a possibility that means that next season, when you're a top 10 protected pick, the Kings are going to go, well, let's just go ahead and forget that season as well.
Because that's basically what you should be doing.
Yeah.
If that's your goal, if you're committing right now to, hey, we're not gonna try and make the play-in. Domas, your hamstring hurts. You're done. DeMar, you're old. You're done. Like, if that's what you're gonna do, then you're committing to that fully. I don't think this is an area where you're pulling the plug on this year, doing what you can to keep the 12th pick, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then next year going like, okay, now we're good. Now that we have this 12th pick in tow, we're going to ramp this thing up. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that and what I've tried to explain too is I think we've talked about this enough, but if you're the 2025, if you give up your 2025 pick, that means that you now get your 2026 first round pick like unencumbered. So moving forward, as of July 1st, you have your 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. In addition, you have an extra 27 and an extra 31. So you have 9 first round picks as of July 1st. Also, if you give up your pick this year, you get your 2026 and 2027 second round picks back. Because again, basically what the way this works, if the Kings don't give up their pick this year, and I mean, if they miss the playoffs and the play-in, they don't give up their pick this year, then not only is your 2026 pick held up because it's possible that it will get traded, I mean, that you'll lose it, you also have your 26 and 27 second round picks that are tied up. Because if the Kings don't give up their pick next year either, the first round pick, like what you're owed, dissolves into a second, 2 seconds at 2026 and 2027.
Okay.
So basically, by making the play-in this year, they no longer owe Atlanta anything, and they have a clean slate completely moving forward.
That sounds so much more beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Than just keeping the pick this year because you want something out of this year, and it's going to be a back end of the lottery pick.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
that doesn't.
I mean,
this doesn't appeal to me that much.
This is a top-heavy draft, and then it's just mid. I mean, it's okay. Like, you're going to be able to find a player, most likely.
Maybe
you should be able to find a rotational player at number 12, but I don't know that I'm foregoing, like, giving up the pick.
The benefits we talked, but this was the whole thing. Like, last year's whole thing was you need to make the playoffs so your pick conveys, so you can clear your picks for the future.
Yeah,
that was such a huge thing last year. I can't come to understand why now this year there's this, oh, well, we should keep the pick. That doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, especially I'll just explain too that if you do keep your pick and then it becomes like you have either it's a top 10 protected 2026, or it's a second round pick in 26 and 27, right? Those are your either or. But because the Kings acquired a second 2027 pick in the De'Aaron Fox trade, they have an unrestricted 2027 San Antonio Spurs pick. Because they have that, they now can trade any of their picks moving forward. So they can trade at 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. They actually can trade.
They just don't have access to their own.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Well, no, they can trade either. As long as you have a pick, you can trade the Spurs pick or your own pick. Either way, as long as you have a pick, you're allowed to trade. So the Kings, in reality, they could not trade any of their own picks at all. They could trade the Spurs pick.
But don't they not have access to their own 26?
Well, their 26 is a separate thing. But the 27 forward.
Oh, 27. Got it. Okay.
27 moving forward.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
And a lot of people are like, hey, it's called a rebuild. It's like, you don't rebuild with the 12th pick in the draft. I hate to tell you, that's not how you rebuild.
If you were going to commit to the rebuild, it would have been when Mike Brown was fired. You wouldn't have then continued to try to win.
Yes, exactly. you would have just gone in the tank. And
Like they're in a like this is the thing. I know they're in a tough spot. This is not, hey, there's an easy solution. Like they're in a really, really tough team building position.
no, very, very difficult. And
Yes.
like realistically, it wasn't when Mike Brown got fired. It was when you traded De'Aaron Fox. If you wanted to go in full tank mode, you should have very specifically gone in a totally different direction where you took back a whole bunch of draft assets and not, gone out and got Zach LaVine.
Right. That's it.
Because that way you would have at least been able to, you would have tanked. You would have,
Yeah, their opportunities to quote unquote tank are gone. They just have too many effective players or too many capable players to be bad. Or that bad anyway, like tanking bad, like Jazz level bad. But they don't have enough of the good and right players to be competitive with the top teams in the West.
Yeah.
So they're stuck in that.
Yeah, you're
abyss of
perpetually
mediocrity.
stuck in that 8 through 12, 13 area in the draft, which is not usually how you rebuild your roster. And hey, look, there's outliers. Like again, Devin Booker, Giannis Antetokounmpo was like 15th pick. Tyrese Halliburton was the 12th pick. Devin Vassell was the 11th pick in that same draft. Like there are good players, but we're talking about like a chance at a franchise altering potential future all-star great player. Again, even Bam Adebayo and Donovan Mitchell, I think 13th and 14th pick. Right before the Kings drafted Justin Jackson, but after they traded the 10th pick for 15 and 20, they could have just stayed at 10, drafted either Bam or Donovan Mitchell, not knowing that Donovan would become who he is, but also Bam would have been a perfect fit because that was De'Aaron Fox's college center.
Let's get out to the Oak Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Mitch in New Jersey. He is anti-tanking. Mitch, what's up?
How you doing? I was. I know James. Kyle, hope you had a good day off.
Sure did.
This, well, you just went through it. It sounds like I was back in calculus biology class. I'm not going to even ask you to explain again. Just forget they can't win no matter what. I like Devin Carter, but they could have drafted a taller player. Of course, the Fox didn't get what they should have, at least a taller guy. And all these twos, and it's just too much. Let them see if they can make a little noise. They do have some good players. I don't want to see him trade, and he's the best guy. It's a bonus. And you got to keep Keegan, but you stuck with those other two. Monk's pretty good. These other two teams, and I think Phoenix is going to lose more because Kevin Durant, isn't he hurt for another week?
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't have a Booker. We don't have a Lamar Ball. We just have Sabonis. We have him in Fox, but we didn't get equivalent to him. And one more thing,
okay.
I don't understand why Alex can't be called Sacramento. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Mitch. Yeah. I'm going to hold my tongue on the A's not calling themselves Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's a silly thing.
It is.
Is Joe still there? Joe?
Sam?
Sam, sorry.
Yes,
Sam.
Here we go.
All right, Sam. On the
Good morning, guys.
Oh, good morning. Hi, Sam.
Good morning.
Hey, listen, my question is does not the Kings have a 12th or a 13th round type of pick in the G League already? I mean, my golly, come on. And so I would go the other way, obviously, because I think we do. And the other thing, from a fan's perspective and a season ticket holder's perspective, I would sure hate to have them tank and dilute the value of my ticket.
No doubt. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you. It's a great point. That matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, would the 12th pick be better than Isaiah Crawford?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not so sure. I'm a big Isaiah Crawford
I
fan,
guess
FYI.
that might be what he's saying, Isaiah Crawford or Isaac Jones.
Sure.
Yeah. And the Kings have put quite a bit into Isaiah Crawford. Like he's been one of the focal points to try to improve, even more than like Isaac Jones going down and spending a ton of time in the G League. And I think Isaiah's played well. He's a very unique individual. He's very quiet, and he likes to sit all the way back inside his locker and read in pregame. So when he is in Sacramento, he typically is like hiding out and is like all the way inside his locker, like reading books.
Reading after being pushed inside a locker sounds like high school.
It does.
Am I right? Am I right?
Except for there's
Just
no
me?
doors. They're not metal. There isn't
Excuse
a
me.
little clip that you
No.
hook your lock onto.
No.
Yeah, there's not that.
And it smells like expensive cologne instead of Axe.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's a good point.
Yeah. That's
I'm rooting
funny.
for Isaiah Crawford. I'm a
Yeah.
big Isaiah Crawford guy.
Yeah, he's taking over the Colby Jones.
I don't believe the Kings have any inkling of like, hey, what do we do to keep the pick?
Yeah.
I think they are full board just getting the play in. Get an extra game. Maybe 2. Maybe a playoff series. Fingers crossed. All right. That's the thing is like all of this is very doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
If the Kings figure out a way to win 2 play-in games, or make the play-in and win 2 play-in games, it's going to be the Liddy committee is going to be out at Golden One Center.
Absolutely. I'll be stoked, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend.
Yeah,
Are
it's
you
not,
kidding me?
we're not going to be sitting here like, yeah, what? Who cares?
I care.
That's the
Absolutely.
funniest part. Anyways, I hope we get there. I genuinely hope we get there. NFL annual league meetings are going on, and the NFL has made some rule changes. And we also got news on what's happening with the tush push.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Controversy.
We'll tell you what new NFL rules you can look forward to next season coming up. Coming up next, right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Studio.
Huh. You right over there? Hmm. Let's see. What do we got in the chat today? How is everybody? We don't have a Devin Carter update. They said he has a bruised shoulder. I don't know how that actually happened. I don't know. Aaron, I think you're misunderstanding here. Like, we're not like trashing the 12th pick. But if you're rebuilding your franchise, you don't start with the 12th pick. That's not going to help you. That's like going out and signing a mid-level exception guy to save your potential playoff run. Like, so I'm not like trashing the 12th pick. The 12th pick is a solid pick in the draft. But I'm also saying that you do not build a franchise typically around the 12th pick in the draft. And if you're going to tank to at this point in the season, you missed your window. And you need to go, like, you needed to go backwards. I thought we already did the Jiffy Lube keyword.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
We did it at the 10:45.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would rather, like, to be honest with you, I think I would rather have my 26 and 27 second round picks and unencumbered picks from 26 to 32 than I would this year's 12th pick. Like, you might be able to find a diamond in the rough for sure, but that's not a franchise changing player typically. Maybe you can find the long athletic 3-4 combo forward that you need. But again, a 12th pick is usually a couple of years away from being someone that can really jump in and play like substantial minutes. Very few and far between are the Tyrese Halliburtons of the world. Wheezy's going to the A's game tonight.
Shout out Wheezy.
I did not get into the battle over what's going on between like Sacramento and Bay Area people last night. So throwing the draft out, what do you do this summer trade-wise, free agency-wise? Well, you're going to not spend a bunch of time on the draft unless you decide to trade back into the draft, which you can do with either your own picks or other ways. There's like you can trade players' picks, whatever. this summer, I'm packaging a couple of players, and I might give up future first round picks to try to improve my roster now. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't want to go back to the well, but yeah.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Tim Bontemps of ESPN has weighed in on the Kings' place in the NBA coaching carousel. I want to get to that as well. But first, the NFL's annual league meeting is happening down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We have some rule changes to go over. I'm going to let you know the rule changes. You guys let me know what you think. First of all, the NFL will not be voting to ban the tush push.
Oh.
Which is the right thing to do.
I thought that they might, though.
Here's my issue with that. And this is just pick a rule in sports. If this was something that every team was doing and doing so effectively, and it was just like, man, like goal line play, like goal line trickery and stuff has gone away, and it's just kind of boring, and the game has become a slog because of this play. Okay, then I could see the league stepping in and doing something about it. The Eagles are singularly dominant at this play. Every other team has the opportunity to do it. We saw the Bills try and fail to do it in Kansas City in the AFC title game. It's not this thing that's sweeping the league and, oh my God, nobody can figure it out. It's the Eagles are really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think banning a play because one team in particular is awesome at it is stupid. And I'm glad that they're not voting on it. It's silly.
Yeah, it's the Packers who put it up for a vote.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Eagles too, the thing I would point out is that they don't just do it at the goal line. Like they go for it on fourth down all the time, and they use the same thing.
It's a huge advantage for them.
It is a huge advantage.
And if it was a play that, hey, fundamentally, this thing is unfair, and every team was doing it, and all of a sudden now there's no punts and offense is getting out of control. Okay, cool. Let's reel it in. But that just hasn't been the case. You can't ban a thing because one team is good at it and not every other team is good at it. So shout out to the NFL for letting the Eagles continue to be awesome at the thing they're awesome at.
I'm with you.
The new kickoff rule is now permanent. That's official.
Okay.
And the touchback has been moved to the 35. So they're really, really trying to incentivize kick returns, which I'm here for.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're trying to incentivize returns, but they're also trying to take away the big hit from the return. Like, I almost think that they should just take the kick return out of it. I don't know.
Well, no, I don't think they're trying to take away the big. They're just trying to keep the one team from lining up and the other team having a full running head start and just slamming into bodies unnecessarily. Like, it just looks a little bit more like a regular NFL play.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. What I mind is we get the touchdown, extra point, commercial, kickoff that's a touchback where no play happens, and then we get another commercial. It was just a wasted play. And then this year, there were more kickoff returns, but they didn't move the touchback far enough to incentivize teams or keep teams from just launching it out of the back of the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
So they moved the touchback up. I'm here for it, man. If it means more kick returns and it means more actual plays in an NFL game,
yeah,
I'm here for it.
Okay.
I like it. Overtime rules have been changed. The playoff OT rules where both teams get a possession no matter what?
Yep.
That's now the permanent overtime rules.
Okay, for all NBA games, all NFL games.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're going to see more ties, though. Like, I kind of think that's going to be a result of this. where one team goes down because it's only a 1 10-minute period. So if one team goes down and they burn a bunch of clock and score a touchdown, and the other team goes down and scores a touchdown, I mean, maybe they go for 2 in the win. And maybe that.
So no matter what, both teams get a possession, even if you score a touchdown.
Yes.
Okay, I do like that better.
It's way better.
Yeah, because
that's how it always should have been. Sudden
Yeah,
death was stupid. You get a field goal, the other team gets a chance, but if you score a touchdown, they don't. That was always dumb to me. So I think we're going to see a lot of very long overtimes, and maybe more ties than we're used to seeing. Expanded instant replay to assist on-field officials. Again, this is for like non-subjective matters.
Okay.
I'm all in on expanding replay. Couple smaller ones. 2 players are now allowed to be designated for return at final roster cuts. So what you used to have to do is, and I know they did this last year, but I think they made it permanent this year. What you used to have to do is, let's say I am your starting linebacker, and I get a high ankle sprain in the last practice before cuts. You would have to make me take a roster spot and then put me on IR and hope that somebody you cut cleared waivers so you could then add them back to the roster.
Okay, now you can designate 2 people that in this scenario.
Now I can be designated at cut so you don't have to release that person and hope they clear waivers.
Got it.
So that's kind of a, again, logical thing.
I like that.
And then right now you can return a maximum of 8 players from IR in a season. This is something San Francisco ran into in 2022. Yeah, 2022, where they were not putting players on IR at the end of the year because they were right up against their max number they could return.
Okay.
What they've done now is the number is still 8, but if you make the postseason, you get 2 additional IR returns.
Oh,
which also makes sense to me.
Yeah.
If you're going to play more games, you should get to bring back more players.
Okay. So you
those are
can designate guys deeper in, like, so if someone goes on the IR, you can still bring them back like into the playoffs.
Yeah, you've always been able to, but if the 49ers have brought back 8 guys off IR already and then make the postseason, they can now bring back 2 more.
Yep.
Which just changes the calculus a little bit on how many guys you're putting on IR and when. Again, not a major thing, but I think a logical little step the NFL took.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. That's all I got.
Okay.
What's up?
Do we still have a caller on line 1?
Do we? Oh, who is it? Oh, I missed the text. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think that this one, it kind of kicks off our next discussion.
Great. Chris, my man.
Yeah.
Let's get to Chris on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Typically, we transition the topics, but Chris is going to do it for us. Chris wants to talk about Doug Christie. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Chilling.
What's happening, man?
Nothing much. I was kind of pondering because our team has a lot of talent and they're under contract. I'm wondering what you guys think if Doug Christie was able to actually have a full off season. Would it be able to give him his full potential to see what he can actually do as a head coach? Because considering that he came in the middle of the season, do you think he was really able to fully implement his style and plays?
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's even more complicated than that. Like we've talked about this before, but like when Mike Brown was fired and Doug took the job, they did not backfill and replace Doug as an assistant coach. And then when Luke Laux left, again, that's a front of the bench assistant that's no longer there. So Doug is actually down 2 front of the bench assistants at this point. And the other guys, some of them I think will be back. Not all of them, but they also aren't Doug Christie's guys. They're not his choices. And so, yeah, I mean, like, look, it's just like, a rookie who goes into, let's say Devin Carter, or Devin Carter is like perfect example. Rookie doesn't get an off season, who comes into the season midway through, struggles to find his role, struggles with his wind. And then, there becomes a point where he does really well, but then he gets hurt. And what Devin Carter really needs is an entire offseason to work with the training staff, to work with a dietitian, to work with everything that a normal rookie would go through. right?
Mhm.
And I feel the same thing with Doug. Like, if you're going to bring Doug back, whatever he is today, it doesn't mean that that's who he's going to be down the road.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things, because of the turnover in the coaching staff, I don't think Doug has felt like he has like that he can delegate nearly as much as he should.
Sure.
And so he's taking way too much upon himself,
Mhm.
and he's not sleeping because of it. He's just like trying to like not micromanage the whole thing, but make sure that he knows everything that's going on, and it's too much information for one person to take on.
Yeah.
And I think when you step back, and I'll tell people, Doug has a notebook that he carries with him everywhere,
Mhm.
and he takes copious amounts of notes about everything,
Mhm.
but then he likes to go back and digest whatever's happening later.
Mhm.
There has not been a moment for him to go back and digest his positives, his mistakes, anything
Mhm.
else. So yeah, I do think that this is like a really good trial run,
Mhm.
and giving him an understanding of what it's like to be an NBA head coach,
Mhm.
but also to pull back and say, next season, if he is back, he needs to have at least 2 or 3 assistants that he's known long term and that he feels extremely comfortable with
Mhm.
on his staff. And
Sure.
again, some of those could be on the staff already. Leandro Barbosa could be one of those guys.
Mhm.
Jim Moran could be one of those guys. Like, there are guys on this staff that he might be able to rely on moving forward.
Mhm.
But also, like, can you get an Elston Turner? Can you get Bobby Jackson or Brian Gates, or like some of these guys that are going to be potentially available this
Sure.
summer that could come in and be like a really, really good sounding board for Doug? Also, can you get another assistant that has, and I don't know if this is Jay Triano or not, but can you get another assistant that has NBA head coaching experience on the staff?
Sure.
And that would help Doug as well. Someone that helps him balance out, says, hey, look, you're taking on too much. You need to hand off some of this. I will give you the crib notes version, the Spark Notes
Okay.
version of what you need to know about what's going on tonight.
Mhm.
So let me digest all that stuff as your lead assistant, and then let me give you the talking points that you can go through. And if you want to know more, it's fine. We've got more I can give you, but also let's have a conversation about it, so you're not just overwhelmed all the time with so much data, so much information, and trying to make up your like being overwhelmed at all times.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't disagree with anything you said there. I think if the Kings are going to do this the right way, I have changed my mind on this. I think they need to hire a new GM and let that GM be in the center of the coaching search.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be Doug.
Mhm.
I think the Kings probably would like it to be.
Yeah.
And maybe he winds up being the right guy for the job, but I've just kind of fallen off the train of I've seen enough. This is great, because there's just been too many lackluster performances.
Oh yeah.
There's been too many, like, what is this why are they closing games like I just still have too many questions, and maybe those will all be answered by everything you just said. Maybe it's taking an off season to sit back and digest what he's learned as a coach. Maybe it is getting his own coaching staff in there. Maybe it's just getting a new GM and a different group of players. Maybe it is those things, but I know if I'm going to hire a new GM, that I want him to be the one to make that determination.
That's totally fair. Like, it's fair if you're anti Doug Christie at this point.
I'm not
Like,
anti-Doug.
well, no,
I'm just
I'm not
not,
saying
like,
you, but I
full,
mean,
like,
in general, in the general Kings
sure.
population, it's fair if you're like, okay, he hasn't done enough.
Mhm.
That's fair. Like, he's above 500, but again, this team had much higher like
Mhm.
expectations. Their post All-Star break, like standings are not good.
Mhm.
What are they, 3-7 over their last 10? Like, look, there are enough reasons to say no, but I also think that like there is potential here. Like,
Mhm.
he's actually captured the imagination. He turned a team around that was like really 6 games under 500 and got
Mhm.
them back in the race. But you also asked him to coach like a whole bunch of different teams in one season.
Mhm.
And that's not easy either. So I hope that like he at least gets consideration, but
He
also
should. That needs to happen.
yeah, but also that whoever is brought in, if someone new is brought in, that they get on the same page quickly and it becomes a symbiotic relationship where they go get him the players that he needs to succeed. And they move players that don't make sense.
Yep.
And I think it can be like I think you can fix this, but I also don't think it's the only solution to the problem.
Yeah, just bringing Doug back is not the fix the Kings would think it is. And I don't, to be clear, I don't think that's the plan. I would be shocked if that's their big offseason move.
Just to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. Tim Bontemps weighed in on the Kings coaching place in the coaching carousel. So he has positives about the job, negatives about the job, and then who could get the job. Positives, he had veteran ready to win talent. He said it's hard to project Sacramento winning a title with its roster, but a coach taking over a team with Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray, and Malik Monk has a chance to be competitive in each game.
Okay.
Does that make it? I don't know if that makes it an appealing job or not.
I mean, I think the one thing if you add to that is not only do you have that veteran like group, but your commitment to DeMar DeRozan's 1 year, your commitment to Zach LaVine is 2 years. You're going to have to extend Keegan Murray. And on top of that, if they give up the first round draft pick this year, they will have every draft pick moving forward and a bunch of extra seconds and an extra first in 2027 and 2031. Like they'll have 9 first round picks and probably 7 or 8, maybe even more second round picks. So that's a good thing where you're looking at this and saying, okay, the cupboards aren't bare.
Yeah.
And we're not so cash strapped that we're not going to be able to make moves down the road.
Right.
So I think an NBA head coach could say, like, I'm going to be okay in day one, but we also have the potential to get better as the years go by, whether it's via trade or something else.
The negatives that Bontemps lists are small market and decades of instability.
Amen.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then he lists that, since moving to Sacramento in 1984, 2 coaches have had at least 1 full season with a winning record. Rick Alderman, who did it for 8 straight seasons from 99 to 06. Mike Brown the past 2 seasons.
That's it. I know.
Man. And I think that to me is going to be the biggest question. And it honestly might be the thing that that Doug most has going for him. Barring a dramatic turnaround at the end of the season, is that he's been here. He knows he wants to be here. And that might matter a lot in this coaching search. If there is a coaching search, the Kings might just be super satisfied and take the interim tag off and call it good.
And if they're going to do that, then give him every single opportunity to succeed. And that means his own coaching staff, his own personnel. And on top of that, it means going out and getting the players that are necessary to make this thing work.
Find out what he wants and go get it.
Yeah.
That's 1,000%. And then he just says who could get the job, talks about Christie's ties to the organization, but then also points out that Vivek has gone kind of big game hunting in coaching searches. George Karl, Dave Yeager, Luke Walton, Mike Brown.
Yeah.
But I think if you're talking big names that are going to be big names on the coaching market that are going to be big names here in Sacramento that people are going to care about, Doug is the biggest one.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
He's at least got to be part of the discussion.
At minimum.
Yeah.
I think I'd be a little bit surprised if it's not Doug.
I would be very surprised, and actually, I'm surprised he didn't get the interim tag pulled, at some point during the season. But look, this thing is spun out, and it's been awkward.
Like, there's part of me that wants to believe that the Kings didn't do that because they're like, okay, he's doing a great job, but we're going to do an expansive search. We're going to see. But I can't, that's just the normal thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like I can't help but think hey, the interim tag didn't get taken off because of some weird thing. Like some strange reason. They didn't want to pay him more or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, we're in a weird spot with him.
No doubt. Can't wait to follow the Kings coaching search this offseason. All right, the handoff's coming up next. I believe D'Lo's going to be in. I saw D'Lo walking around. I haven't seen Casey. One of those 2 guys will be in. They're going to join us next for the handoff. And I'm going to give you an winning underdog lineup. Can't wait. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's with us here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
Any chance Doug doesn't want the head coaching job? Tom, no chance. No, he wants that job. He's wanted that job for years and did not think it would become available with the Mike Brown era. Okay, so man, the Kings they don't have a lot of second round picks. Wow. They've got a 2025 this year. And it's the Chicago's second round pick. If they give up their pick this year, they'll have their 26 and their 27. But then they don't have their 28, their 29, their 30, or their 31 second round picks. God, that's crazy. Although they have an additional 26 second and an additional 27 second, which are from the Charlotte pick that's going to dissolve. Huh. All right. Oh, that's weird. I don't know. He has not been there for actually a couple of years, right? Didn't Lindsay take over after him?
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, that's what I just looking at. Russell, this isn't the case. Like, Monty has won a lot of battles. And he's made selections. I mean, and it does matter. Like, Monty has had input on everything here. Do not take away culpability or anything else. This has not just been like Vivek making decisions on draft picks. I mean, there's at least one draft pick I can remember that Vivek had input on. Maybe two.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of years, Monty McNair, if Monty does get fired, it will be because of the situation he's created here in Sacramento.
Correct.
Not now. Did someone else have a say in Zach LaVine being here? Yes. But that's pretty far down the road of issues that the Kings have had.
It's Damon Barling.
Damon Barling, everybody. Damon Barling.
That sweater's so sick.
That's nice.
Right now.
I like that. What's going on? Super cold. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah texted while I was at the game, it snowed at the house.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, she came home they had a volleyball game. It came home and there was snow on the roof and snow on one of the cars.
Did you go to the game? Oof. Yeah.
I will say the media parking was different than I thought. Like there's a media parking lot
In a good
right
way?
next to it. Yeah, in a good way.
Sweet.
I did not expect that. Okay.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, before we get to the handoff, I'm going to try and win you some money. If you would like to win money with me, just download the Underdog app and sign up using promo code KyleM because it's baseball season. That means we have so many games every single day, but it's not just baseball. All your favorite teams, all your favorite players, all your favorite leagues available on Underdog Daily Fantasy. Their pick'em games, super easy. Pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats, and then you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. It's really that easy. Here's the entry I'm rocking with for the A's-Cubs game tonight. Kyle Tucker kills the A's historically, whether he's wearing an Astros uniform or a Cubs uniform or no uniform. He is killing the A's. I'm going higher than 1.5. Hey, I'm going 1.5 total bases. Higher than 1.5 total bases for Kyle Tucker. Luis Severino on the bump for the A's. I think he's going to settle things down a little bit. I don't think we're going to see the Cubs plate 18 runs again tonight. I'm going higher than 4.5 strikeouts for Luis Severino. And then Lawrence Butler, higher than half a total base. I think Lawrence Butler is going to get at least 1 knock tonight. I feel very good about that, higher than half a total base. And that is my entry on Underdog. I hope you play along with me. You can by downloading the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. That's all one word, just KyleM, KYLEM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. And with that, it's time for Damian Barling of D-Lo and KC. He is here for the handoff. How's it going, man?
Let's go, baby. You gonna pretend like you didn't come back from your little trip sick, huh?
No, I'm good.
No, you're not.
I'm good, bro.
No, you're not.
I'm good.
No.
I've been good.
Okay. That's what I tell myself too. Every time my voice, I'm fine.
It's just a little congestion. I'm good.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Did you go to Disneyland?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Tell.
I've definitely never gotten sick after coming back from Disneyland that one time. Katie tried to murder me at Disneyland, and yet still standing. You'll live.
I didn't get nearly the content you guys did out of Disneyland.
Our content was fire.
Very good. Hey, is there such thing as a bad loss for the Kings anymore? Because I'm driving back last night and I'm watching the game. My wife was driving. I'm in the passenger seat watching the game on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And just as the collapse is happening, it's like, sure, man. I don't.
I hear you. No, like it doesn't matter anymore. It's not bad loss, good win, bad. Like it's just you got to find a way to win games, and there are games that suck when you're leading for 47 minutes of a game and you can't close the final 77 seconds, and it's the guy you traded away. And I said to Kenny when that lead was evaporating, we're trying to do the KSFM show, and every 5 seconds it's looking up at the TV and we're watching we top him, god damn it, and we're watching this like Tyrese is gonna
yep,
he's gonna beat the Kings. Like that's like we're watching it, that's what's gonna happen. I was thinking it was happening with 6 seconds left rather than 76 seconds left.
Yeah.
But still, it's like this is what's gonna happen. And how you get a 24-second shot clock violation in that situation,
unbelievable,
is just stunning to me. But to answer your question, no, it's not a good loss. It's not a bad, like it hurts more. Like it's like Chicago. You were up 19. Milwaukee. You were up double digits in that game. This game, you were up 16. You had a shot.
Yep.
And it was a game that you needed to win. You had a shot to take the 9th seed back. You had a shot to give you a smidge bit more room with a brutal stretch coming up for Phoenix. You had a chance to all but solidify your playing spot, and you couldn't do it.
Yep.
And so it's just, game after game for the next week, it's going to be for next week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever it is. It's just going to be, can they survive? Can they win enough games to compete in the postseason? And then once you get to the postseason, meaning the play, it's whatever. It's a game to game. Can they beat Dallas?
Sure.
I'm not sold that this team can get to the postseason. I'm not sold that they can beat Dallas. I'm not sold that they can beat Phoenix. I'm certainly not sold that they can beat Minnesota, Los Angeles, or Golden State. So it's just, we'll get there and we'll go a game at a time. You lost the Indiana game? Great. Now we're focused on Washington. By no means am I sold you could beat Washington. I have no idea what you're going to look like on a night-to-night basis. So turn our attention to Washington, see if they can get a win. That's it.
Oof.
That's it. I have never been more eager for a season to end. Like, this season is effing miserable.
Is that where everybody's at? Are we all just tank, no tank,
no,
keep
no,
the pick,
no,
lose the pick,
no,
whatever you want out of the year, you just want it over.
Just let it end.
Yeah.
Just put this season to bed.
Yeah.
Like, between the start of the season, the Mike Brown stuff, the De'Aaron Fox nonsense, the everything that has gone on since then, the division regarding DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, just end it. Yeah. Just get this over with. And if it ends in the regular season, I don't care. If it ends in a play-in, game 1, game 2, I don't care. Sure. If it ends in the first round against Oklahoma City. Whatever, dude, just get this goddamn season over with, because no one's going to enjoy this. Like, I think if the Kings win that second play-in game, somehow, I think fans will be excited for a minute.
Sure.
It'd be like, okay, wow, we did it. And then, we'll lose by 40 to Oklahoma. Oh, God, we should have just kept our draft pick. The season is so bad that the fan base is so divided on what the right thing to do is, what the wrong thing to do is. The draft is this, the draft. We don't even know who the front office is. One guy has already left. Coaches are just dropping like flies. Like, sucks, Hammer.
I think the worst part is that I sense like complacency and not caring more than I sense. Like, I agree with you. Everyone just wants this to end. But there's also a lot of fans who are like, okay, I'm just done. Like, this is too much. Yeah. This is too many times. And
I don't think that's true. I never agree with that.
I don't know. I've covered 15 seasons, and 2 of them were good. Sort of. One was good. One of them was sort of good.
One was good. One wasn't. Not so bad.
Now, this one here, like, does it feel different than a bunch of it? No, this is right in line with so many of the earlier ones. And I know there was more expectations. So, sure, we can feel that way. But I also feel like a lot of people don't care if Doug is a head coach or not next season. They don't care if Monty's back or not. They're like, Vlad is here again. What am I supposed to think about that? I have no idea. Like, there's just this weird feel, and you're looking at the roster and you're like, I don't really want to see that guy back. I don't really want to see that guy back. There's a lot of like, this thing's a mess, and I don't know how you get out of it. And we're in for like another 5 years of mediocrity.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that I disagree with James. Go ahead.
It's depressing because you're not wrong.
Just let it out, Hammer. Let it out. Look, the Kings have made you too sick. You see this? The Kings have made the insiders sick. Your voice is all congested. James is over here sneezing. And sniffling.
Dude, I am.
To be fair, it was worse. I'm actually getting better, if you can believe.
Oh, good. No, it's great.
I am hopelessly optimistic all the time about many things, and my spirit has been broken this season.
Dang.
Look at the Kings broke Joe Brazil. You broke Joe Brazil.
It's
you broke Joe Brazil. Jesse is a Celtics fan. He might win another championship. He's the maddest person in the damn building when it comes to the Sacramento Kings. And here we are.
I'll tell you, like, the Kings sold out 19 of the first 20 seasons, I believe it was. Complete sellouts.
Yeah.
Right? The one season they didn't sell out was they made the playoffs in 95-96. where they had that great run against Seattle, the great playoff series. The next year, the wheels started to fall off the bus. The year after that is when they didn't sell out. Their season ticket base collapsed. And then we go to the lockout. They bring in Vlade, they bring in Weber, they bring in like that group of players. Peja comes over, Jason Williams. The excitement grew again, and boom, sellouts again. I think we're in that same exact mode where you made the playoffs, then you barely missed the playoffs, and then the thing falls apart. And we're in year 3, just like we were back then.
Yeah, I hear you with that. I know we got to go. This is probably a long conversation. It's just, it feels like this team is not likable.
Ooh,
I don't think the fans like this team. I don't think they like these guys.
That's what it feels like.
And it's happened. Like, we've experienced this before, but a lot of the players have been bad. These players aren't bad. I just think people they're so polarizing isn't the right word, but so many people have like opinions on like DeMar and Zach. Oh, we saw it together, them together, and it didn't work in Chicago. And I think people, Domas now, same thing. I think people have just been so jaded by these opinions. They don't like these guys. And that makes for a scary offseason for the Sacramento Kings business people.
For sure. You guys digging into that on D'Lo and Casey?
Yeah, Kenny's at Mike Bibby's press conference, so he'll be with me later. Will Z's going to join me in a little bit. Obviously, I got Jesse, Trista, Jason Jones will be with us. We'll talk a lot about that game last night. We'll talk about what went on at Sutter Health Park. So it'll be a fun couple hours for sure.
Can't wait. It'll be a good one. D'Lo and KC coming up next. For James Ham and Joe Brazil, I'm Kyle Madsen. We have been the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're back with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, drink water. Be nice to people. See you.